Hi, this is Majinoni, and I have a short stack of comics to review today. We have Avengers, the Children Crusade, number 9 of 9, Night Force, number 1 of 7, and Age of Apocalypse, number 1. Let's take a look at Age of Apocalypse, number 1. I've gone through some different emotions or feelings about this book. On one moment, I was like, this is going to be the greatest thing known to mankind, and this is going off the Remender X-Force storyline. And then when the book came in, I remembered, oh, wait a second, Remender's not doing this. So then my expectation level just dropped, just like that. So because of that, I was able to go in this with, I think, a cleaner head and have a much better opinion of this book. As a whole, I really liked it, but it was very difficult for me to get into, I guess you can say. The reason being is, everything is, I guess you can say, literally is turned upside down. Heroes are now villains, and villains are, I guess you can say, heroes. You have Wolverine as the apocalypse, I want to kill everybody because the Celestials are going to come and destroy us type thing. You have Daredevil as basically, I don't want to say an assassin, but, he's working with Wolverine Apocalypse. You have Stryker and Creed and those guys fighting for humanity, and while they were once villains of the book, X universe, now they're kind of heroes. And they're actually much more badass than what they are in the regular Marvel U. If these characters were in the regular Uncanny X-Men, you might have some deaths along the way. I really enjoyed the artwork. I thought there's a lot of really good things that are going on here. While, granted, there's some panels maybe they could have been cleaned up a little bit. On the other hand, you had some really awesome shots at the same time. And I think, as a start, they did a really, really good job. I liked how you had these call-outs where they told you who these people were, because a lot of these people are, like I said, they're different than what you would normally expect, and I think that was a really strong plus. When there is a little bit of fighting, I think the action sequences were they're well done. It just wasn't enough. But I'm okay with not having a lot of action just because I'd rather see more of a story. I want to know who these characters are. Once we get a feel for everything, then I want to see some battle. Overall, I was really, really happy with it, and I really look forward to getting the second issue, for sure. This was a really strong title. I just hope that they're able to keep up the momentum, keep up the surprises, and don't fail to mediocrity. Alright, there's that one. Okay, then there's Night Force. I really had some high hopes for this in a weird kind of way, I guess you can say. I was a little bit familiar with the old Night Force. I never read a lot of issues. I mean, I read like maybe 1 or 2, so I understood it was a horror concept. And when I saw this, I was like, well, it's a horror book. Maybe it's going to be good. This, excuse my language, was the biggest piece of shit this week that I've read so far. This didn't interest me whatsoever. I read half the book and had no retention of what happened. I was that bored. I really didn't care about a lot of anything that was going on here. There was some good panels, some character design, like with the creatures here, but, you had this room of shadows, and I'm like, oh, could this have been maybe a little bit better? I like I can't even say I really like the concept as much of this house of horrors, because it's just boring. It's just everything about this book is boring. It's basically, what's going on is you have two storylines. You have one where this girl was getting drowned, and a cop gets this phone call saying, come here and save her. And then while that's going on, you have another storyline where you have a politician who's not really human, he's a demon, and they send some old woman who can verify that it's a demon, and she gets chomped. Now, this is what this book needs. This book needs a lot more blood, and a lot more red blood. If it had that, you know what? I'd be really, really happy about what I saw. But this book is just worthless. I'm not buying any more of Night Force. This was a total waste of my money, and I honestly can't even say one redeeming value other than, alright, maybe that's a cool skull head monster. That's it. And you know what? That's not even an original skull face monster. Utter garbage. Utter. Avengers Crusade. This book was interesting. The ending to this caught me by surprise, and they did I think in terms of characterization and everything, they hit a home run on a lot of levels. On other areas, I think it was kind of like they didn't know quite how to end it, I guess you can say. Pretty much the story really ended last issue, because you had the Doom thing, you had Cassie dying, that was the climax. And then everything after that is basically temper tantrum and figuring out what to do for the future. Now, Iron Lad throws a hissy fit, and he kills the Vision. I don't care. I mean, it's a little bit of a spoiler, but it's not. I don't think that's the big part of the story. What is the big part is this is actually a springboard for Iron Lad and what's going to happen with him. And I found that really interesting in that sense, because he can actually, he has two paths that he can go. One is the old evil that we know, and there's the other evil which could be amazingly great. And I'm hoping whoever picks it up is going to take it that evil who's going to be awesomely great. Now, from there, we have the X-Men that just kind of go, well, we wanted to kill you before, but I think you being alive is punishment enough for everything that you've done and having to think about what's going on. Scott gives this big speech, and I can't help that what's really happening on this panel is that's being removed, and you're not even really reading it. And people are just focusing on if they can see through the White Queen's clothing. That's what I believe is what's really going on in this panel. Now, from there, you have the Avengers do their speech, you have X-Force, or X-Factor, do their speech, and then at the very, very end, you got the timeline. So we know that this actually takes place before Spider Island. We see through the Uncanny X-Men where the Sentinels in North Korea were activated and doing drills and things like that. So we get to see things like that. And at the very end, I guess what you can say is they trimmed the fat a little bit, and they gave it, I don't want to say hope for a new beginning, but they basically said, okay, they served it up and said, this is where, from this moment on, we can progress with the brand new storylines, and we're giving, I guess you can say, the Young Avengers a place in the universe. They're no longer, I guess, no longer like the Runaways or somebody like that who's basically this group that just doesn't really belong. Now they belong. And I think that's what really made the ending strong. Now, I think some people are going to go, well, that was a wishy-washy ending, but I think if you look at the bigger picture, while some people may not agree with how everything went down, because I will admit the ending was a little bit on the corny side, something like that really did need to happen, because, like I said, it gives them a place to belong, and now we can actually see new stories without a lot of excess baggage, or distractions or anything like that might come up. The one thing that I can also say is I approve of the ending to Super Patriot his storyline. I think the kid's a little punk bastard, and he deserves what he got at the end. And who knows, maybe after that, what we don't see in the comics, if when he finally does make his return, we're going to see a better, more well-rounded, much more inspirational type character. Because I think that's what Super Patriot, this guy needs to be. Is he needs to be somebody where he doesn't necessarily have to be Captain America, but he has to be the young Avengers Captain America. And he's nothing like that right now. And I understand that you have to build up to a legendary status, but the fact of the matter is he's not even making an attempt to even become somebody who he needs to be. And I think the way this story ends, this actually could push him in that direction to become a much better character. So I'm hoping that's what happens with him. I don't approve of Cassie and Scott, that mess. I like Cassie, I don't want Scott, and that's basically what happened is we switched roles. And we got that idea from the last issue. I guess it's one of those things that you can prove that, you don't want to tamper with history because there's a cause and effect. If you take, you're going to have to give. And they took Scott's life back, so Death wanted Cassie in return. And so I thought that part was interesting, but I want Cassie back. I think, for me, I liked Cassie as a character because she was the young, spunky girl who tried really hard, and in a sense she lived under her father's shadow. I guess now you can say Scott could potentially become a much more interesting character because now he's living with the knowledge that he died, and when he came back he lost his daughter. So that could prove to be kind of interesting later, but I don't know. To me it almost looks like he's another Hank Pym just waiting to happen. Anyways, that's my review for those 3 books. If you have any comments or questions, let me know. Rate the video up or down, let me know what you think. And I'll have more reviews up later, so until next time.